All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me again on this vlog. And my camera just shut off. So, hey, it's live TV or live stream. But no problem. Just turned it on right now. Today is, what day is today? Wednesday, May 20th. I hope everybody is doing fine out there. And, again, we're still under the stay-at-home orders. Things are kind of looking up a little bit more. But today we won't talk too much about COVID 19 because if you are interested in that, you can always go to cdc.gov or who.int and you can look up great information there. There's tons of great resources. Also, you can follow your local media and local health officials on social media. It's that way you'll be in the loop when news conferences are happening, and you can get tons of information there as well. I think today there's going to be maybe a couple press conferences. It is one, so a little bit after one, so I don't know if one already has passed or not. But I do want to get to my guest today because she owns her own business, and I wanted to know how it is, how she's keeping that business up while the quarantine's happening, but also how she's helping other people as well. Her business is unique in many ways. So I want to bring Elva Fonseca here from Sensational Organizing. Hi, Elva. Can you hear me? Okay, so we can't hear your audio. Okay, how about now? So yeah, so Elva, we can't hear your audio, unfortunately. What if you try unplugging any headphones you have and see if that works? Oh, how about try plugging them in and see if that works? Hmm. Okay, so it looks like you can hear me, right? If you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, so you can hear me, but we can't hear you. Don't know why that would be. Let me see here. Okay. Huh. I wonder if you just need to dial up again. Do you want to just dial up again? You're doing it on your phone? Oh, yeah, you could do it on your phone. The cool thing about this software is that you can actually access it using a smart device, but or you can remote in using a smart device, but you just have to be running the latest iOS software, which I think yours is. So if you want to go ahead and try that, you can, or you can just redial in using the machine you're using now and see if that works. Sometimes he has a little hiccup where it might not catch the audio, but let's just try logging you in again with the machine that you're using. Yeah. Yes. All right. Oh man. So that's being live, and I've been playing around with this software. It's really robust. It's giving me a lot of choices to do certain things, but for whatever reason, it's having a hiccup today, and I don't know exactly why that is. But we'll see if we can get Elva back here again. She has a really interesting story, and like I said, she owns her own business. She helps people organize things. So a Marie Kondo type, if you will, but not quite. And I'll have her explain the difference there, of course. But I actually interviewed her for my podcast not that long ago. So you can always go back. It's called The Hangry Mexican. You can search for that podcast everywhere you listen to podcasts. I personally like Apple Podcast, but it's also on Spotify and Google Podcasts and a bunch of other places. So you can listen to that episode. I think it's like maybe about 40 minutes or so, but not terribly long. And there's just tons of interesting things that she talks about regarding her business. Plus, we get some tips too. Hopefully, we'll get some tips today too. So we'll just wait for Elba to dial in again and see if we can get her audio working. But for now, you have me. So if you want to follow me on social media, you can do so. There's the links, well, not the links, but my handles for Instagram and also for Twitter. So Twitter, I usually do a lot of newsy things. On Instagram, it's a little bit more fun in a way. I can have a little bit more fun with it. So you'll see different materials depending on where you follow me. So that's why I put those two down there. And of course, if you're watching this live right now, you're on my Facebook page. So one of the things I actually want to start doing is asking, having you ask me some questions. For that, I do have the ability now to do it. And it looks like Elva is back. She's trying to just get things set up a little bit there. I think she's going to be using her phone, but we'll see momentarily if the audio is going to work. So hopefully it works. So anyway, coming back to your comments and questions, if you have any, just go ahead and post them in the comment section below this post, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, or if it happens during this broadcast, of course I can try and answer them while we're live. So I have Michelle Hoover who sent a message here. What SW are you using? So SW, I'm not familiar with the term. Streaming software maybe, or software. If that's the case, then I'm going to say vMix. So hopefully I'm understanding your question correctly. So it's vMix for PC. Okay, so let's see if we can bring Elva again here, and hopefully the audio works. Let's see. Yes, software, Michelle. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so it's vMix. V is in Vicky, and then IMIX. Oh, no, VMIX. There we go, vMix. All right. Elba, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Yay!
We did it.
Yay!
Yeah, that was so weird because before the stream, I could hear you just fine. And then somehow, for whatever reason, just went out. I don't know what it is. But
I don't know.
To be fair, I have been playing around with the software a little bit. I'm going to try and figure something, because what I want to do is create a virtual green room for my guests. So the virtual green room would just serve as a purpose while the countdown is playing. I can chat with my guests without having that audio carry over to everybody once the streaming starts. But I'm getting some questions, and I really want to thank Michelle Hoover for tuning in to this broadcast. I love that you're asking me tech questions. One of the things I'm obsessed over is just tech questions and tech in general. That's why I have so many cables just lying around everywhere.
I remember that.
I know. Yes, we talked about that. And
I remember we talked about it.
and Elba, if you can do me a favor and just turn your phone landscape mode so we can get the full beautiful frame you have there.
Sure.
But yeah,
that
just
works. And I'm upside down.
oh, yeah, no, it didn't quite work. Maybe what if you turn it the other way, or maybe the phone isn't taking it. I don't know. Are you using a Samsung?
Yes.
Oh, got it. Well, it's all right. Just it's fine the way you had it then.
Okay.
we'll just do a quick little adjustment on my
Fair
end.
one.
Yeah, but we talked a little bit about decluttering the first time we talked, and this was for my podcast. Uh, so talking about cables, I'm trying to be better. I do. I mean, I kind of traded out the old cables for some new ones. So I have like maybe 3 cables connected here, and then a bunch of other ones just scattered throughout. But that's part of your job, isn't it? To help people declutter, get rid of some of that stuff that they might not need.
Yes, yes. And the thing with cables, it's a very common problem.
Uh
You
huh.
have so many and you don't know what they belong to. So you keep them just in case you ever need one. And they end up just becoming chaotic in your home. So, yes, part of my job is to help you assess what they may belong to. And then, whatever it is, whether it's cables or whether it's tchotchkes or dishware, whatever it is that we're assessing, part of my job is to help you simplify the decision making and just kind of ask you questions so that you can easily decide whether you need it in your life or not.
Wow. Okay. That's really a really great service that you're providing to people. And I actually wanted to talk to you about how you're holding up during this pandemic, and how you've been able to keep that help, that service going. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely, yes. What I wanted to offer during this time is a form of uh, do it yourself program with a bit of coaching as well. Oftentimes, you're able to get a plan to how to organize your space, but then you come across things that you have a hard time parting with, or you kind of need someone to bounce ideas off of. And so that's where I married the two um, services, as you will,
Mm-hmm.
coaching and do it for you, do it yourself plans. So
Mm-hmm.
when people call me and they show me their closet, for example, they may have what they want, and but they don't know how to fully see it through.
Mm-hmm.
They also need accountability. At this time, I know people have a lot more time on their hands, and with that comes not no longer ignoring your stuff. Now we're kind of forced to face the stuff that we've kind of postponed and we didn't want to deal with when we were busy. But
Mm-hmm.
now it's all front and center, and we have to make decisions on what we want to do with this stuff. So, as a professional organizer, I come alongside my clients and help them make a plan and then decide what to do with the stuff.
Wow. Okay. And by the way, I have a little split screen here. And can you still hear me? Because I think your audio dipped down a little bit.
I can hear you,
Oh,
yes.
perfect. Okay. Um, so with the services you're providing, obviously you can't get to physical contact with any clients. So how are you dealing with that, and what's the process like? What are you doing to carry out these services as well?
Yes, that's the part that I really miss because I love being hands-on with clients and helping them move things around. But in this case, because of the pandemic, and actually I am starting to work with clients now, but during the pandemic, we couldn't work alongside each other. So I had to give them a plan and just uh, do a virtual consultation via Zoom,
Mm-hmm.
and then give them a step-by-step instruction on how to um, organize their space, and then come together during another virtual session and talk through the items that they had a hard time deciding whether they should keep or not.
Interesting. That's a really interesting approach, because I'm assuming they probably went around showing you their home, rather they're kind of bringing up whatever they had up to the screen. Did they? Is that maybe you can talk a little bit about how those virtual sessions work and how they look.
Yeah. Well, generally, we only talk for about an hour regarding the items that they don't know what to do with. But with clutter, oftentimes the fact is that it's postponed decisions. People have postponed making a decision on items for so long that they just have a hard time getting started. And so I often say is that you have to go through things sometimes in layers, and the first layer of it is the things that you know for sure beyond a shadow of a doubt that you no longer want in your life. And so with my steps with my proven steps on how to organize your space, you
Mhm.
can pretty much organize any space, any area, any situation. And so we go through those steps, help the client get started because that's the hard part is like, okay, I know I have to deal with it, but I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to begin. And so having someone there with you and say, okay, we're going to start on this corner, and here's what I want you to do. I need you to have these three boxes. We start with trash, donate, and keep. You also want to have another bin for relocate. Oftentimes, what happens is you start in one room and you realize, okay, I need to take this to the other room. You go to the other room and you find something else that needs to be done in that other room. And people cycle around and they never seem to get anything done. So when I'm there on the phone, I'm helping them get started, I'm giving them a plan and keeping them accountable. So the second time that we meet, we're just going through the stuff that are, say, the second layer of things that need to be pared down on, but they're really having hard time making decisions on.
Uh,
That's
so,
generally work
so how many virtual sessions are there just for one client? On
for one
on.
client. It really depends. It
Uh
can
huh.
be between two, three, sometimes four sessions
Oh
for a
wow.
room. It really depends on the client if they have a hard time with things, if Um, they also have access to me via text and email for any quick questions. So we try to keep it between 2 and 3 sessions for every room because, again, they have access to me via text
Hmm.
or emails if they get stuck.
Yeah. Okay, and Michelle Hoover has a couple of questions here. The first question that she's asking is, what are the most important things to remember with a virtual session?
With the virtual session, most important thing while we're working together is to keep the camera steady. So right now I have the camera on a tripod, and I want to be able to get a full view, bird's eye view of every how your room currently functions, where things are, because everything is connected. It's not just organizing a drawer. You may be able to consolidate things. And so part of the session and the consultation is getting a full view of what is going on in the room, how you're using it, and how we can maximize everything so that your space is functional and usable.
Mm. And Michelle's second question, and this is related to how we're living now, but she's asking, for what reasons has organizing during COVID-19 become even more important than it was before COVID?
You know, that's a great question. As I had mentioned before, we are just so used to, especially as passionate entrepreneurs, is to just set things aside and go, 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 go. The hustle of on to the next thing. And we just put things aside to the point where it just becomes overbearing. It's kind of like when you have your computer windows and you have many windows open. Yes, they may be. you may be able to minimize them, but they're still taking up RAM memory and energy from you. So you end up feeling drained and maybe at times stuck, like you can't move forward. You have trouble finding things. And so, right now that you're not able to go on and do work outside is a great time to organize your space, to set everything back to zero, to create systems so that when the doors do open, you're able to feel like you're thriving and not feeling like something's pulling you.
Yeah, and I'm kind of imagining this like a sanctuary. So like a lot of people, they have that special place, that sanctuary, whether it be in their home or their backyard, where they just go to relax. So now that we're spending more time at home, um, I'm just thinking like, well, wouldn't it be great to have every single room of your home be a sanctuary? And so for me, like, what uh, I know I mentioned I have a ton of cables, but I mean, I did get rid of a lot of, especially like after the last time we spoke, I got rid of a lot of stuff. And when I started building this little like studio space that I have now, it was this is probably the smallest room in the house, but I was able to get rid of this table. If you remember, we there was a black table I had that I bought at Target and a couple chairs, and it just looked so ugly, and it looked so cluttered to me. So what I ended up doing was I actually ended up just getting an armchair and a little sideboard, and I just organized all of my accessories that I needed for, let's say, podcasting, or also to have like a little, almost like a lounging uh, room. And so now it's become one of my favorite rooms of the house. I can just come in here, and of course I do all my work from home now. So I come in and it just looks like a living space. It's open, and in fact, maybe I should show it to you. So I have this is, I'm gonna see if I can do this real quick. Whoa, that's close. But you can see like my armchair, and of course I gotta clean that shirt up, but put it back in the closet. But I have a little lamp, and then the sideboard table with some things that we need to hold. And Of course, like the pandemic hit, and I wasn't able to get a second armchair, which I plan to once things reopen. But it's become really a sanctuary in a way, but like so is every single room, because it's not all cluttered up with a bunch of junk that I don't need. So
Good.
what are some of the things that you often find when you do these virtual sessions, or even before COVID when you did consultations in person? What was often like the most um, uh, I don't even know if I should call it a mistake, but like the one the most common things that you would find in people's homes that they could easily avoid to build to avoid building that clutter up.
Hmm. I think that just mainly things like at a garage sale, the problem is not necessarily the item, it's the fact that we don't have the space for it. So the most common mistake that I see people make is like buying containers before they've gone through the organizing process, and so the organizing containers become a part of it. Um, the other thing is that oftentimes people think that organizing is just shoving things into bins and drawers and just kind of putting them away. And really being organized is being able to find the things that you need when you need them. And shoved in a drawer mixed in with other things of other categories in the room that you may not use them is not organized. It's important to put things in a place where they will simplify your life, where you will need them. And at the same time, making a conscious decision that when you're out shopping and buying things for your home, that they are things that you actually use, you love, and that they have a home. Because
Mm-hmm.
if they don't have a home, you don't have a place to put them, they will end up in hallways, they will just end up overwhelming your space. um, yes, there are
Mm-hmm.
many things out there that are nice, but it's important to first clear your space and find a place for everything that you currently have in your space before you bring anything else, so that you know where it's going to live. So you think
Mm-hmm.
about it like, for example, I use this analogy a lot. If you have a carton of eggs with 12 eggs,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm asking you to put one more egg in that dozen, in that carton of a dozen. How can you fit another egg in there?
Mm. It's
You
a good
can't
question.
unless you
Oh.
take one out. And what happens
Uh-huh.
often in our spaces is that we just add so much to it. We try to add too many eggs to that carton. And so our house feels overbearing. Instead of it being our sanctuary, it just feels like it's overbearing.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
if we keep that analogy in mind, not just the boundary aspect of it, but how delicate eggs are. If you
Yeah.
try and stuff a bunch of eggs in that carton, they're going to break. And that's exactly how, we must keep in mind boundaries and what we decide to bring not only into our space, but adding things to our calendar, how we manage our time, how we allow people to treat us. All of that is a delicate balance that we need to keep in mind, when
Mm-hmm.
we're shopping and bringing things into our home.
Well, talking about shopping and bringing things into your home, how are you? What's your process like when you go out to the grocery store or go out and receive a package too at home? Like, what's the process of you making sure that you're not carrying any of these, possibly COVID virus into the home?
Yeah, you know, me myself, I try to be as cautious as possible with having one surface on the end of our kitchen where we set the groceries that we bring in, pull them all out, and have the sanitizing spray to spray things
Mm-hmm.
down, like, whatever we can. We also decant a lot of things. So the
Okay.
cardboard for the snacks, that
Mm-hmm.
goes out in the trash because all of the little individual snacks go into a basket. So that further helps keep things sanitized and clean, just
Yeah.
unboxing as much as possible.
Now, in the past, I would say, like I would try and save some of these boxes that I get just so that I can use it for organizational purposes. But now I'm not even saving those boxes. Have you noticed? Well, what are some of the things that you've noticed have changed, um, in the world of organization because of what's going on right now? Whether it be not using certain things, or maybe a certain way of disinfecting things to use them for organizational purposes. But just in what you've been seeing, what are some of the like the key things that you've noticed have changed during this pandemic and that might stay with us even afterwards? Any best
Hmm.
practices?
Hmm. Well, I'll tell you, I haven't
Mm-hmm.
seen anything as of yet, except for the fact that all of the donation centers are closed. And
Mm.
so
Mm-hmm.
people are left with trying to figure out what to do with the stuff.
Yes.
Um, and with that, one thing that really has really, helped me to help guide my clients as to what to do with the stuff is just alternatives. and things that people can do during this time to get things out of their home.
Mm. No, that's I hadn't actually thought about the donation centers, and the fact that they are closed, and yeah, I mean the garbage men still come and collect the trash and the recyclables, but I didn't realize that there was a ton of other stuff that could be donated that now really can't. You're gonna have to store it away somewhere for a little while if need be, but um, it's great advice. That it's a great tip that you just gave. So I think a lot of people are in the same boat too. I certainly have some clothes that I need to donate, and I haven't been able to. But slowly but surely things are reopening, and of course I'm out here in LA. But how are things where you are right now?
Yeah, where I am,
Mm-hmm.
still donation centers have not opened, and I check every day. As well as the Container Store. We haven't been able to go into the stores and shop for containers just
Mm-hmm.
yet, except for they have um, curbside pickup, um, but it's not the same for sure. Some of the ways that I have found people can pass on their stuff during this time is using resources such as ThreadUp. It's spelled ThreadUp. And what they do is they're an online consignment shop. Um, this was a method that I used before when I helped women clean out their closets, because there's a lot of guilt associated with purchasing clothes that you no longer wear
Yeah.
and spent the money on it, but keeping it in your closet isn't going to make the money come back. So
Yeah.
we need to find a way to get it uh, out of your closet and make space for something that you will wear. So
Mm-hmm.
ThreadUp is a resource that I used before, so that you could still use it as far as consignment. But what they also do is they recycle the clothes and they donate it to charities. So that's a great way if you have clothes that you're not wearing, is to go to the website, print out a mailing label, and then just ship it to them for recycling if it's closed. The other thing that you could do is, if you have furniture or anything like that, you could take pictures of it and post it on the Facebook Marketplace. There's also um, there's also other things like freecycle.com,
Mm-hmm.
where you could pass it on to somebody that will enjoy it for free. And why not? If you've been blessed with abundance and all this stuff that you don't need, pass it on to someone that does need it. There's also groups on Facebook called, what is it called? Free for, I forget what it's called, but it's essentially, it's called Sell Nothing.
Mm.
Sell
Okay.
Nothing group on Facebook as well. They're in your local community. And you just take a picture of it. And again, somebody in your local community may need it. And that helps you get it out of your house. Um, absolutely disinfect it before it goes out. But that way it's not in your hallways and
Mm-hmm.
taking up
Yeah.
in your rooms. You can get back to the sanctuary faster.
Yeah. Well, great advice. And a lot of people may be familiar, thanks to Netflix, uh, who introduced us to Marie Kondo, who's another professional organizer. But what are the key differences from what she does from what you do?
Well, I don't know Marie Kondo personally,
Uh-huh.
but on her show, it looked like she went in and told you what to do and didn't do the hands-on work with you. And with my business, we come in and oftentimes do the work with you or for you. For people that are very busy, and that's the other thing that I have found
Uh
with
huh.
this virtual time is that a lot of people don't want to know how to do it. They just want you to come in and do it for them. It's like,
Uh
can
huh.
you just come and do it for me? I can't stand clutter. Oftentimes I hear women tell me, I would rather pull weeds than deal with clutter.
Wow.
And so, but for me, I don't know why. It's healing. It's a therapy for me. I love doing it. I love creating order. I love finding spaces for things. And so, the other thing that is different between Marie Kondo and the way that I service my clients is that I don't ask. We don't do that ceremonial thing that she does where she thanks the items
Oh
for
yeah.
service that they they have done for them.
Yeah.
Um, we just want to process things and make space and create the sanctuary that you need. And that's not part of our strategy. But during the time where the client comes in and makes decisions on what they want to keep, we help them process again through the decision making and um, ask them questions whether they use it, whether they really need it. And oftentimes I find clients, their body language tells me a lot. So if I ask them, do you use this? I could tell when their body their body tells me that they
Uh
don't
huh.
really need it, they don't really use it, but they're not ready to let go of it. I could tell from their body. And so then
Uh huh.
I ask them again and they go, yes, you're right. I haven't used it. I really don't need it. Okay. I'm
Oh
ready to let
man.
go of it.
Do you find that guys are more messy than women?
uh, are men more messy than women?
Yeah.
Um, I think it depends on how they were brought up.
Uh huh.
Sometimes I get calls from men, like I got one today,
Mhm.
where the husband was the one calling me, and and he wants the home organized, but the wife doesn't know that he's called.
Oh,
So
okay.
so it
Yeah.
it can go either way.
Oh man. Claire, we found somebody. No, that's that's so funny. Oh man, I'm just wondering what would happen once they do find out, if they appreciate it or if they get insulted because they think they're saying something. But yeah,
Yes.
I tend to be like a little messy myself, but then at the same time, kind of like a neat freak. I don't know. It's so weird. It's like these feelings just live all within me. Like if it's something I really care about, like I'll clean it up. Um, but if it's something that I have really zero interest in, like for a while, weeds were growing out in the backyard, and I didn't really feel like pulling them out or anything. So eventually, it came to a point where it just became ridiculous, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna take some time out of my day to pull the weeds, and so I did it. But then there's other times when, well, like for example, when I was decluttering this little space here that I'm using as a studio now, and some boxes too. I was all gun ho about it. I was I was going through them like crazy, and it's like, okay, I need to get rid of this, and I was actually enjoying myself. So I guess I get the I understand some of these folks that don't want to do it themselves, because I think they want the end result, but at the same time, it's not something they're passionate about. Cleaning maybe that particular area. But like as with anything, I think you gotta find some silver lining in that, and some passion in it for you to actually motivate yourself. Especially right now, a lot of stuff's happening, and uh, for a while, beaches were closed, hiking trails, all these other areas. I mean, you literally probably would be able to only walk around the block in your neighborhood, and that's it. So I think having a clean home, at least for me, if I have a clean home, um, I feel really good about not being able to go out or anything like that. I just feel really good about being home. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
probably what most people want to be or feel like right now. The ability that they can be home and be able to relax because it's clean.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so you just feel so productive and so in control when you need
Hmm.
something, you know exactly where it is. You don't have to spend time trying to find, an umbrella if you need to go out in the rain or um shoes, you know, you know exactly where your shoes are.
Yeah. So Elva, what got you so interested in this line of work, this career? How did you end up doing it for a living?
How did I end up doing it for a living?
Yeah.
It started in 2015 when I was at a crossroads in my life where I didn't know what to do with my life. And I think we all find ourselves at that point in time, at some point in our lives. And so that's where I found myself just kind of feeling like my life didn't really have a purpose. I didn't see myself sitting in front of a computer screen every day. And, I'm a Christian, so I would pray with God for it took me 2 years of constant prayer and struggle with Him. And to me, I kept thinking, God isn't listening. Why isn't God listening to me? But I know, now looking back, I know He had a plan and He was stirring things inside me. It was I find now that it was a conflict between my what I was brought up to think by my mother. My mother always told me, be grateful for what you have, be thankful that you have a job, and don't complain. I think that's also very common in
Hmm.
Hispanic cultures is just aguantate and just be
Yeah.
thankful for what you have. And so it was that how do you say, that headbutt between what my mom told me I needed to do, just put up with it and just stay in a job because it paid the bills, and what my soul was telling me that I needed to shift and do something else. And once I came to, how do you say, at peace with what my soul was asking me, I made that decision to just jump into professional organizing, because I had done some research as to what it was, and how it helped people. And yeah, I just jumped and just started organizing my spaces again.
Hmm.
And and then God sent me my first client after 2 months of just trying to figure out what I was going to do. And uh and here I am.
Well, and I'm glad that you are here. I think you're providing a very valuable service. And let's talk actually a little bit about where people can find you on social media and your website as well.
Yeah, on my website they can find me on www.sensational. If people are interested in the step by step of organizing their spaces so they're not just shoving things in drawers, they can
Hmm.
visit my website and get a free guide, my free decluttering guide. And on Facebook and Instagram, they can also find me at Sensational Organizing.
Yeah, and we're looking a little bit here at your website too. So what is that link one more time?
www.sensationalorganizing.com.
Perfect. And people can actually set up a consultation through your website.
directly through my website. And if they're not at home,
Uh-huh.
they want to schedule a time when they will be home, they can schedule that time directly on my website. It'll bring out my calendar and you can schedule a time to chat with me and share your space with me. And we can troubleshoot your trouble spots.
Perfect. All right. Great. And just before we wrap this up, I really want to give you the last word. Is there anything that you'd like to say that maybe we didn't, personally discuss or talk about?
No, just encourage people to take advantage of this time because when the doors do open, we want to get out there and thrive. So it's again a great time to create systems and get things out that don't belong in your life and make space for the great things ahead.
Well said. All right, Elba, thank you so much for coming on this vlog and just taking some time to talk about how you're helping people, about your business, how you're keeping it going through this, and just words that we can all live by to declutter our
Yes,
life.
you're welcome, Oscar. I always enjoy talking to you.
Oh, well, thank you. Same here. And if stick around for a little bit after this, and we'll keep chatting a little bit. But I really do want to thank also everybody that tuned in to this live broadcast. And of course, I'm going to be uploading this to other social media platforms. So if you're watching it on YouTube, thank you for your support. I really do appreciate everything all your support, all your comments, all your questions during the broadcast and after the broadcast. Now, if you do want to follow me on social media, that's easy to do. My Instagram handle is down here at the bottom of the screen. My Twitter handle as well. On Twitter, I do more newsy things, more news stories, or I post it on Twitter. And obviously, Instagram is a little bit more fun for me, so I like to experiment a little bit on Instagram. Also, if you are looking for information on the COVID-19 and the pandemic, you can always go to these websites here, cdc.gov or who.int, and they have tons of great resources. So that's why I love going to, especially the cdc.gov website. I mean, they even have a video on how to wash your hands. So that's lots of great resources there, and they're all free as well. And of course, you can always follow your local media organizations and health officials. That way you can stay updated with the latest information that's happening. Of course, things change day to day. So a lot of the times, almost every day, there's a news conference somewhere. So you'll be able to stay in the know. And again, thanks for tuning in. It's a beautiful day out here in Southern California. So be sure to take a walk, get some fresh air, and take care of each other. And until next time, just have a fantastic week and weekend. It's coming up, Memorial Day weekend.